But for me personally, I don't think it would work.
Back. On today's show, we're looking at local entrepreneurs. They came up with that great idea and ran with it. Back in the 1980s, only 1 to 2% of those coming out of business school wanted to start their own business. Well, today that number is 10 to 20% of MBAs want to be their own bosses. Right now I'm joined by Balliet and Chris Hallowell, founders of The Second Glass, a new wine magazine hitting the New England streets. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell me, what is The Second Glass and how is it different from all the other wine magazines out there?
Well, The Second Glass is, we wanted to start like an unpretentious, more entertaining, fun look at wine. There's so many people that are starting to drink wine now, but people aren't drinking really expensive bottles. The main market is like $10 to $15, and so we really wanted to start a magazine that really focused on those types of wines.
The grocery store wines.
Exactly.
Right, and so what are your different specialties in wine, and how does it come together in this magazine?
Well, Tyler is a very business, a good business-minded person. I'm not at all, and I just kind of do the wine tastings and just pick the wines, try to get really good wines at really good prices, really good value stuff, and also interesting and quirky wines that will kind of expand people's horizons with drinking wine.
So you're the wine connoisseur and you're the marketer, sort of.
Essentially.
He's
Right.
also a really good wine guy.
Yeah, you love wine too.
I
Obviously,
do.
you would have to, or you wouldn't want to make a magazine like this.
Exactly.
Why don't you take us back to the beginning?
Okay.
When did you first come up with this idea?
Well, it was a little over a year ago, and I was working at a wine store on Newbury Street, and I was sitting there, and it was a particularly slow Tuesday afternoon, and I was reading Wine Spectator, and I was looking through it, and I was thinking to myself, I either don't care about half the articles, or I don't understand half the articles, and I know a lot of people who get subscriptions to it, and it's an expensive magazine to get a subscription to. And if I'm not understanding the articles, I know that my parents and my cousins and the people reading it are probably not getting out of it what they should be getting out of it.
Right. It's almost like for a niche, a very small niche audience.
Exactly. And so the idea hit me to start a wine magazine for basically like everybody else, or the average person, the average wine drinker. And the whole idea is that a small amount of information can greatly enhance someone's wine drinking experience.
Right. Well, I mean, what do you think what are the things that you think are the most basic, what's the most basic information that you're conveying in this magazine?
Just basically that everybody should be drinking good wine. There's no reason why you shouldn't. There's good wine out there for cheap, and there's also lots of different wines that aren't being really covered. A lot of people may not know about. So the main thing you get out of reading our magazine is you get a little bit of information about what you're drinking, so that you can kind of make conscientious observations when you drink wine. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that a Sauvignon Blanc has a little bit of herbaceousness. That's kind of what I'm smelling here. So you understand a little bit more about the wine, and then also you can just again expand your horizons to get more wines that you might not have tried otherwise.
What do you think that the average wine buyer, what are they basing their selection from?
I think the average wine buyer kind of has a varietal like a Cabernet that's their favorite wine, so they go in and they pick from Cabernets. But there's a lot of other things that taste just as good and have other flavor profiles that you might like just as much. And also, marketing is this what runs this country's wine store purchases.
And it can be really confusing because there's the old world versus new world. A lot of people don't know that Bordeaux is generally a blend of Cabernet and Merlot. Most of them don't even say Cabernet on them. So
Right.
if you like California Cabernet, you might like Bordeaux as well.
Right, and I assume that probably the Wine Spectator, another magazine, would just say Bordeaux and assume you already knew that was the blend and never take that extra time to explain to you, like maybe the Second Glass does.
That's the kind of idea that we're running with, is that magazines like the Wine Spectator, you need a strong base of wine knowledge to even get through an article or, God forbid, enjoy one of the articles. Whereas I think what we try to do is we try to take, assuming nothing, take you through something and just start from the ground up. And so wine connoisseurs could take something away from our magazine because it's chock full of all the good, juicy information, but it's not assuming that you know anything. So, we'll define words or we'll run right through it from start to finish.
And some of the articles can get really dry. Like when you're talking about wine, it can get very technical. So we try to write like we're talking to our friends, like we're sitting down on the couch over dinner talking to them. So we try to make the articles really reader-friendly.
Right, just like this show. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what we have right here? Why did you choose these two wines to bring on? And by the way, we're drinking water, we're not drinking wine, it's more of a prop, but anyways, tell us about these bottles.
Well, in September, we're coming out with our organic, biodynamic, and sustainable farming issue. And so this is a sustainably farmed wine, and this is actually certified organic. We chose these because these are great. This one is a Torrontés, which is a varietal a lot of people aren't familiar with. It's a native Argentine grape, and it's really fruity. It's got kind of like lemon lime and kind of like lychee flavors with a little bit of spice. It's a great wine. Everybody who tastes it loves it, and we just don't know about it.
Torrontés, I mean, you don't even hear that when you hear about whites. You always hear Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a cheap wine to produce. So it's cheap to get in your hands, and it tastes great, and it's just nobody buys it because nobody's ever heard of it before.
And what about what's this red we have right here? Also has a unique name.
Yep, it's a Côte de Rhône, which it's sourced from all over the Rhône Valley in France, and this one is actually unique in that most Rhône blends are a blend of about 9 different red grapes, where this is just 100% Cinsault. So it's very cool. It's also organically farmed, so there's no synthetic chemicals used in the farming, and it costs $11 retail.
So where can people find an issue of The Second Glass, which I have right here, a nice copy of? Where can they find?
We distribute at wine, liquor stores all across the Boston area, different coffee shops.
Yeah, and you both work at
Bookstores.
wine stores. Why don't you plug them quick so we know where we can pick these up specifically?
I work at Brookline Liquor Mart in Allston, Massachusetts.
About over in Alston? And
I work at Bauer Wine and Spirits on Newbury Street.
There you go. And are these free for anybody?
They're completely free.
Yeah. So what's the response been so far?
People have really been enjoying it. People come up to me, and I found that most people that pick it up read it cover to cover, and they enjoy all our articles. They get a lot out of it. People buy our recommendations, and they love it. We have a wine of the weekend that we send out every Friday. It's an email blast, and we pick a great bottle, usually around $12, and we send it out to like tons of different people, and we tell them where to go to buy it. And people have been buying it, and they love the wine. So
if you could give one piece of advice for someone who's thinking about starting their own business or an entrepreneur endeavor, what would it be?
I don't have any good advice.
I would say you just keep keep trying hard. It might not seem like it's going to work out at certain moments, but just keep working, just keep plugging away. Well,
I want to thank both Tyler and Chris for joining us. If you want more information on The Second Glass, you can check out their website at thesecondglass.com. When My Voice returns, we're looking at 2 other young entrepreneurs and their winning ideas right after this.